Okay, so here is the breakdown of how to complete the quiz review spreadsheet on heat-related illness. Okay, so methods of heat loss. We have convection, radiation, conduction, and evaporation. And then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight each category so that they're a different color to help differentiate the categories. Cooling methods. Okay, so cooling methods that we have are cool towels, hydrating, place in cool environment, a cool bath. It couldn't be an ice bath if severe enough. A spray bottle, or you can do water over the head. Removing clothing, and or equipment. And a fan that can provide cool air. It can also be warm air. Air is air. So a fan where you can provide cool air. Okay. And then so we'll provide, we'll make this a different color. And then we'll go to environmental factors. Environmental factors are any factor in the environment that can create more risk for heat exhaustion or for a heat-related illness to occur. Okay, so hot weather, humid weather. Actually, let's do working out. Working out leading to overexertion. Okay, so a workout it could be an environmental factor that leads to overexertion. Humid weather. Equipment, uniform, so equipment like pads or a uniform that coincides or exists with the equipment, like a football uniform, and the pads. And then no shade available. So it could be on a hike where it's the environment where there's no shade available to allow you to find a cooler temperature. The game environment. Okay, so it could be in a gym that doesn't have any AC. It could be obviously on turf where the turf is much hotter than normal grass. And then water availability. Okay, so if there's no water available on a hike, you've lost water, you didn't bring enough water on a hike or whatever it might be, that could be something. Maybe the coach didn't bring water. Unfortunately, they forgot or whatever. So that's possible. Although it's rare, it can still be considered an environmental factor. And then coaches or staff coaches or staff that create an unsafe environment. We'll put create we'll put coaches staff unsafe environment. Okay, so that's environmental factors we have to be concerned about. And the method or medical device for determining temperature would be a thermometer. Take temperature with the thermometer. Take temperature with a thermometer. Okay, so that would be the method. And then we'll go up to signs or symptoms of heat cramps. These would be considered muscle cramps. Extremities. And then we'll put abdominal also. So it can be abdominal cramps. Abdominal. Okay. Muscle cramps, extremities, or the abdominal area. And then treatments for heat cramps would be stretch the muscles. Light massage of the muscles. Hydrate. Removal from game. And we'll put and salt replenishment. And then signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion, dizziness, headache, nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, persistent muscle cramps. So these cramps have continued. All right, so they're not going away. They came back. They've returned. They got away. They went away. Then they came back. Same match, same game. Fatigue. There is some other symptoms, signs of like excessive sweating, but it's kind of hard to. A lot of times, sometimes it's kind of hard to determine what is excessive sweating and what's not. Somebody could just be sweating a lot. Even individuals who are not in a heat exhaustion state or heat related illness state will sweat a lot, and you'll see the sweat. So it's really, I don't add that in because it's not a definite sign or symptom that we would say, oh yes, by the way, this is a red flag. That's not necessarily a red flag symptom. Let's make this. We'll make it blue. And then treatments for heat exhaustion, hydrate, we'll say small amounts of fluid. Remove excessive clothing and or equipment. Rest in cool, shady area. Elevate legs. Cool down with water. And immerse in water if available. And also if symptoms don't improve. So if you feel like the temperature's not going down, they're still having this after like 30 minutes, they're still in a heat exhaustive state, we'd call 911 also. But for the most part, what you'd want to do is make sure that you find some water to immerse them in as well. So we could end up putting 911 down for heat exhaustion if we felt that the heat exhaustion was not improving after multiple treatments were not working for them. So if they were not getting better or were in the same state of these symptoms, signs and symptoms, then we would call 911 for that situation. Okay, so let's do red. And then signs and symptoms of heat stroke. So now we have severe dizziness, and these are all red flags, okay? So severe dizziness, lack of coordination. So the dizziness doesn't necessarily allow them to stay coordinated. They might not be able to sit upright. There might be some different coordination issues that you would see. Confusion, not know where they're at, not be able to answer questions correctly, seizures, unconsciousness, unfortunately. We definitely don't want them to get to that point. So we're going to try to do everything we can to mitigate the issue before it gets to that point. Persistent muscle cramps. So those muscle cramps are still not being relieved. Severe fatigue. They can't sit upright. They seem very tired. They're just not themselves. Elevated. This is more of a test. Elevated temperature. Temperature 105 Fahrenheit and above. So even if they're at like 102 or 103, we already know they're going through heat exhaustion. They would be removed immediately from the game. But we're looking at if that temperature is elevated, up even 104, 105. We're looking at this is already heat stroke, and we need to call 911 right away and go to extreme measures of treatments, and it would be more treatments for heat stroke. So now, no sweating. You're going to looking at this person's, has a lot of these signs and symptoms, and we don't see any sweat coming from them. So then that would indicate that they've lost their ability to release heat. They've lost their ability to sweat, which is a bad sign. So we are looking for, okay, we have all these different signs and symptoms, and now we are seeing that they're not sweating either. We know that that's an immediate red flag to say, hey, we need to make sure that we're getting them help. And getting them help would be an immediate call for 911. Call 911 immediately. That's your first step. Call 911. Remove any excess clothing. You're going to basically get them down to their You know, if it's a male, you get them down to shirtless. To female, you're going to get them down to where they're, you know, just the undergarments, sports bra, you know, slider pants. That's it. And then to let them allow them to be able to release heat faster, you're going to find shade if available or cool area. Bring them into a room with AC. You're going to immerse in water, in cool water. Okay, if you can find it. And then if immersion isn't available, so there's no pool, there's no whirlpool, there's no bath available, isn't available, you're going to wrap in cool towels and cool towels. And when you do that, you know, the towels will warm fast. So you're going to want to make sure that you continue to understand that you have to change the towels, keep taking the towels off, cooling them, and with water, putting them back on. Okay, and then here, heat cramps return to play. We would circle here, since we're doing this online, we'll just highlight. Heat cramps return to play same day. It can be the same day if they return after their cramps to pre-injury level, and that is indicated to you on the sidelines. On the sidelines, when you you know, when you're there with them. If they can't return to pre-injury level on the sidelines with some runs and sprints and things like that before they go in the game, then they're still cramping or they still don't seem right, then they can't return. But it is possible. Okay, so we can do same day. Do we need a physician clearance to return to play? We do not need a physician clearance to return to play. Okay, heat exhaustion return to play. Nope, they're not going to return the same day. And they do need a physician clearance, clearing them to return. Heat stroke, definitely not the same day. And then they do need a physician clearance to return. And that concludes the completion of the spreadsheet for the heat-related illness review.